Hi guys, Harbs here. Today we're going to be taking a look at 15 Easter eggs in D&D's 5th edition that relate to popular culture, older editions of the game, and real-world myths. These Easter eggs all exist within current 5th edition adventures and sourcebooks, so without further ado, let's go. In Rime of the Frost Maiden there are several references to The Thing. The art of the Cold Light Walkers is very similar to the poster, and there are two characters in the adventure called Macredus and Copper. Macredus spent his time researching how to solve the problem of Auril's everlasting winter, within a black cabin alongside his assistant Copper. This is a clear reference to Macready and Copper, who were stationed at an Antarctic research station in the film.
Anybody there?
In Waterdeep Dragon Heist there is a submarine called the Scarlet Marpenoth, which is a reference to the hunt for Red October. Marpenoth is the 10th month in the Forgotten Realms calendar, and Red October is the name of the submarine in the film. Page 206 of the Monster Manual is about lycanthropes, and the following image is shown there, which depicts a human fighting with what appears to be a werewolf. This human has a striking resemblance to Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. But not only this, the exact position of the human is incredibly similar to an actual shot from Disney's animated film. Sticking with the Monster Manual now, if you turn to page 78 you'll find the Spined Devil, and a quote attributed to Fiona, Archduchess of Phlegistos, saying, "Fly my pretties, fly, fly." This quote has long been associated to the Wizard of Oz for this scene here, but it's a Mandela effect. The Wicked Witch never actually says this, even if other films and programs have referenced it.
Fly, my pretties, fly!
On page 160 of the player's handbook, there is a table with a list of trinkets that contain many Easter eggs. The player can roll to assign one of these trinkets to their character during creation. If you roll a number 46, you'll get a dead sprite inside a clear glass bottle, which is a reference to The Legend of Zelda. Number 45 is a tiny chest carved to look like it has numerous feet on the bottom. This item can be seen on the front of Terry Pratchett's The Colour of Magic. Item number 49 is a silver spoon with an M engraved on the handle, which might be a reference to Merlin's spoon, first referenced in 1989's 2nd edition Dungeon Master's Guide. In The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, the map for the Witchlight Carnival shows a roller coaster which has a striking similarity to the one that can be seen during the opening of the 1980s DnD Cartoon.
Hey, look! A Dungeons and Dragons ride!
On page 77 of the Monsters Manual there are the stats for the Pit Fiend, alongside a quote by Herobaal. Herobaal is not a famous Pit Fiend, and has only ever been mentioned once before 5th edition, in Dragon Magazine issue 75 from 1983, as one of several potential Pit Fiend names. Many of the spell components in 5th edition actually have a number of discernible references. The spell Tongues allows the caster to understand any spoken language. It requires something called a small clay model of a ziggurat. This is a type of massive structure that existed in ancient Mesopotamia, and is likely a reference to the Tower of Babel, which is the Mesopotamian origin myth as to why the world has so many different languages. There are several references throughout 5th edition to an adventure called Into the Borderlands, published in 1979, which contained two adventure modules called In Search of the Unknown and The Keep on the Borderlands. On page 166 of the Monsters Manual, the quote Bree Yark is said to be Goblin for We Surrendered, or so they say. Well, according to the 1979 adventure, it's more of a rallying cry for other goblins. A second reference to Into the Borderlands can be found on page 71 of the player's handbook, which talks of fighters and how the city guard are rarely the adventuring type. Few fighters in the city watch have the opportunity to discover a magic flame-tongue sword, for example. Well, at the start of the Keep on the Borderlands, a captain of the watch can be seen with a flaming sword +1. Curse of Strahd has a number of pop culture references. In Chapter 4, which covers Castle Ravenloft, there are descriptions of various crypts that are often humorous in nature, like Sir Cedric Spinvitovich. Confused though he was, he built the greatest naval force ever assembled in a landlocked country. In Crypt 16, there is also a reference to Twitter. Elsa Falona von Twitterberg, beloved actor, she had many followers. In Chapter 13, the Amber Temple has a pile of treasure, with 15 thin, leather-bound tomes, all of them signed copies of a storybook called Snow Dwarf and the Seven Whites, by Nitch Rackmay. Well, the Snow White reference is obvious, but Nitch Rackmay is an anagram for Tracy Hickman, one of the original creators of Dragonlance and the Ravenloft setting. In Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, there are some references to real European folklore, stories and poems. For example, Lake Borlor. Borlor is a multi-headed dragon from Romanian folklore. A Drangu is a semi-human, winged divine figure in Albanian mythology. And then finally, Alkino's Hall. Alkino is one of the devils in the Inferno of Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy. On page 194 of Mould and Canaan's Tome of Foes, we can see stats for a sacred statue with a picture of a statue to Moloch above it, with his right eye missing. This is referencing the first edition AD&D Player's Handbook from 1978, which shows two thieves stealing the right eye of this exact statue. Okay, back to Wild Beyond the Witchlight now. On page 97, one of the potential pilots for your hot air balloon is a Bullywug Knight called Humphrey Bogart, a clear reference to Humphrey Bogart. In Eberron, Rising from the Last War, the following can be found on a table that details Lower Shan street events. A Korovar half-elf in the robes of an oracle approaches and promises to give you the answer to all of life's problems for 42 copper crowns. This is a reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and the meaning to life being the number 42. Finally, on page 135 of the Dungeon Master's Guide, the following is written. If you want a ring of invisibility to fall into the hands of a first level character, so be it. No doubt a great story will arise from that event, and I think we all know what this is referring to. Anyway, thanks for watching guys. There are loads of hidden references throughout 5th edition, so let me know about some more in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, then do please give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!